The Wee Folk and the Cottage Cleanup. Fable and her friends were sitting on the cottage porch sharing a pot of chamomile tea when the kind witch of the woods came home from a long day in town. She landed her broomstick with a weary sigh and walked into her home, unaware of the wee folk looking up at her from beside the front door. Fable and Wick knew the kind witch as well as they knew each other, and had told tales of her to the friends who sat beside them, who now turned to each other with shared expressions of amazement on their faces. Like most wee folk, Dew, Oakley, and Bello did not live in such close proximity to humans. As the messenger, Dew knew about them and the vital magic they brought to her world through their hopes, wishes, and dreams. And she knew that witches were people who lived in harmony with nature and therefore connected more to the magical wee folk realms than most. Their tea all but forgotten, Fable asked the others, "Would you like to come to my house and see if the kind witch reads a story tonight?" They all nodded eagerly. So Fable led everyone through the crack at the bottom of the front door, across the cottage floor, and up the vines from the kind witch's many potted plants that stretched across every wall, until they reached the bookshelf where Fable's house sat at the very center. They gathered in her living room, in front of the wide window that overlooked the cottage's reading room. Sure enough, the kind witch of the woods had snuggled up in a chair with her beloved black cat, Enoch, who purred as she started to read him a story from her book of fairy tales. This evening she told the tale of Thumbelina, to the absolute delight of the wee folk tucked away in her bookshelf. The 5 friends felt deep sorrow when they heard about Thumbelina's loneliness. She would have been a welcome addition to their little group. They rejoiced when the story ended with her marrying the Flower King, who was just Thumbelina's size and reminded them a bit of Sparrow. After the kind witch closed the book and carried Enoch up to bed, they sat together quietly for a moment, basking in the echoes of the beautiful story. Finally, Oakley looked at Fable and Wick and spoke in a reverent whisper. "You get to hear her tell stories like that every night?" She shook her head in wonder for a moment. "I wish I could do something for her as a thank you." Dew and Bello agreed in an instant. Fable opened her mouth to tell them how she had made it her sworn duty to protect the witch's book collection from the silverfish who sometimes snuck into the cottage to try and destroy the pages. But before she did, Wick spoke up. "I think I know what we could do." Everyone turned to him, and in his soft little voice he explained. "The kind witch of the woods appreciates a tidy cottage. I saw her do her spring cleaning the other day, but from my lantern house up on the mantel I noticed a few dusty areas that are hard for her to reach. We could take care of that for her." Oakley smiled brightly and told him she loved that idea, which warmed Fable's heart and brought a rosy glow to Wick's cheeks. The group huddled together to plan which areas they would each cover, then climbed back out onto the bookshelf and walked in separate directions along the many potted plant vines. Fable went to the kitchen and wiped up the dust that had built up behind the witch's apothecary shelf. Wick climbed down to the hearth and picked up the hard-to-sweep ashes that gathered between the bricks. Oakley walked along the windowsill in the reading corner, cleaning bits of dirt out from under the flower pots. Bello joined her in that area, his short stature perfect for dusting in the cracks of the chair cushions. Their tiny, nimble fingers easily removed the bits of dirt and grime that were difficult for the kind witch to clean. They found that they enjoyed seeing the dust disappear bit by bit from her lovely home, and even started singing and laughing amongst each other as they worked. The only one who did not join the song was Dew, but that was only because she was working further away from the rest and could not hear the song. Unafraid of heights, given her daily climb up the wishing well, she had used the highest vine to remove a dusty cobweb in a corner of the ceiling, up in the loft where the kind witch and her cat rested. The cobweb stuck to her cleaning rags, and it took some time for her to fully eliminate it. By the time she had climbed down from the loft, she found the others sitting in a circle outside of Fable's bookshelf house, whispering amongst each other. As she walked up to them, she overheard Oakley say, "I don't know what they are, but I think I've seen the fairies carry something like them." In the middle of their circle was a pile of shiny round circles that they all stared at in confusion. Oakley turned to Dew as she came up next to her and said, "We each found one of these while we were cleaning the cottage, but we don't know what they are. Do you?" Dew giggled lightly. "I absolutely know what those are. Those are called coins. They get dropped into the well all the time by people who want to make a wish. After my wishmongers extract the magic from the coins and help the wish come true, I carry them back out of the well to the fairies, who then sprinkle them throughout the human realm for people to find and wish on them once again. It's common to find them in hidden places around the home, under furniture and such. Now that you've found these, you can go to the wishing well and make your own wish. Upon hearing that, the wee folk shouted with delight. For them, the coins were as large as a watermelon, but in their excitement they each wrapped their arms around one and made their way as quickly as possible to the wishing well just beyond the fence of the cottage garden. Oakley hung back with Dew for a moment, then told her, "It's a good thing I found 2 coins. Now you can make a wish too." Dew beamed with joy the entire walk over. When everyone had made it to the edge of the wishing well, they all paused for a moment, clutching their coin to their chest. They stood together in silence for a moment. It was Oakley who spoke up first. "I can't think of anything to wish for right now." The rest nodded slowly, feeling the same way. And finally, Dew admitted to the group. "Before I became the messenger, I wasn't able to make my own wishes, but secretly I always hoped that one day I could find friends like all of you. I don't have anything to wish for, because mine has already come true." Fable set down her coin to run over and give her a tight hug, and the rest quickly followed. The group hug kept them warm in the chilly forest air, and soon the sun began to rise. They turned to look at the first rays of light touching the horizon. Then Fable picked up her coin once again and said, "We could still toss these in, but instead of making a wish, we can do it as a way of saying thank you for all that we already have." So one by one, they dropped their coins into the well, sending their gratitude swirling down to the wishmongers below. The end.